Alrighty. Well, this may be a bit of a defining kook moment. Starting to rain again, instead of raining on and off. I've been washing my car today. Some of you may have wondered what my sudden obsession was involving having a giant silver beet patch that's about half an acre or an acre in size, perpetual spinach. And there's a water pump which you'll see soon, and talking about getting that going and blah blah, and chances are I might go over there today and strip the carburetor out of it and see what's going on, because it's raining so much. It's not a great deal we can get done here. What is my obsession with that? What's this talk about? A flour mill that will run directly off a pulley drive, i.e. gasoline engines running on wood gas, electric motors running off my solar system. What is the obsession with all that? What am I talking about buying an oil press for? And butchering, Why am I so obsessed with all that? Actually, I got a chance to tune up my butchering skills the other day, because we done 14 sheep, and I'm getting good at skinning and all that, and I even got taught some of the methods that other people use when skinning and whatnot. What is my obsession with all that crap? What's it all for? Well, once upon a time there was a place called Russia. Everything seized the fuck up in regards to money even being worth something, trade, consumer confidence. The country just about nosedived. The money was so shit there, especially during the days the ruble collapsed, which I believe was either 93 or 94. And I must say that 2015 has dropped to half its value. It was so crap that nobody even bothered with money. Paying in rubles was pointless. I've got a book written by a journalist who was over there as a foreign correspondent for a channel here, TV channel, and he basically said that he'd even get pulled up by the cops. Cops wouldn't bother pulling up anybody else because the cops all knew everybody had no money. But as being a foreign correspondent and a foreigner, they put a K on your number plate. So he says you're battling to even get around the block sometimes, and a cop would pull you up and want a bribe. And he'd try and pay him in rubles, and he'd say, oh no, just forget about it. Don't you have US dollars? He'd pull you up, you need to pay a bribe to get off, and he wouldn't even take his own currency. Because the money was so shit that nobody even wanted it. You couldn't even buy anything with it. With the stuff that you'd been buying shit for the last fucking 100 years. It's hard to convey this sort of shit to people who haven't lived through it. But if you spend enough time or talk with someone enough, and don't think of it in your country's terms, but try and think of it with a clean slate, as a blank piece of paper, as somebody coming to it without any preconceived ideas, it's pretty fucking shocking when that sort of shit happens. Oh yeah, but what's the trouble? It's not going to happen here. I don't think it'll happen here full on. It might happen in the States. Your money might quite likely end up being only half its value. This whole phrase, it's not going to happen here, well, that's what everybody said on September the 10th. And then September the 11th, 2001 come round, and guess what? It did happen here. Or over there, if you're watching in the States. This idea of it can't happen here, never, ever, ever make that assumption. Because that's what everybody thought on September the 10th, and then fucking bang. The next day, and the entire world's never been the same since. Not just America. You know, it affected things here. All Western countries batten down the hatches. You know. Life changed in Pakistan too, because of the conflicts that resulted afterwards. Their tourism industry is fucking dead in the water, and has been ever since September 11. But never mind Pakistan. I would not be surprised if we continue on with the currency we got, but things do need to change. I have sensed that, you know, I've seen plenty of people saying that there may be a big shake-up around January 2015. I said, yeah, well, I always hear these predictions, and then they're always like, it's 3 months later. You know, it's always a little bit later from when they say. And I'll admit, I was wrong, and they were right. It was January. The Chinese stock market took another 11% dump. The American stock market took another dump. Everybody's taken a fucking dump. And then I started to hear stuff, watch stuff that was happening in Davos, Switzerland, at the World Economic Forum. And the guys at the World Economic Forum who paid $27,000 a ticket to get in there were in no illusions. They knew how fucked it was, and they were saying how fucked it was straight on TV, without holding back, without concealing anything, without playing hush hush, you know. And I think this is the year. I really think it is, you know. And I know you've heard every kook saying it's the fucking year, and it's always, you know, oh, well, it's only 3 months off till we're going to crash, da-da-da-da-da-da. I hear that all the time. I've been hearing that ever since 2008, that the crash is only 3 months off. And I know it's all freaking horse shit, because 3 months will come around and nothing happens. But this time, I think we're about to hit the big cruncher. Now, we may go to, I think I called it the wrong name last time, special drawing rights, or some sort of a system. There's no guarantee that this new system will work, just as they thought the bailouts were going to work and they didn't work. I think at the end of the day, a lot of it's about productivity. And if you want America to hold up, you're going to have tariffs. I hate to say it. I fucking don't like the idea of subsidies. And many people in the States are a bit surprised that I do like the idea of tariffs. And I know some of the American viewers don't agree with all that. But tariffs is making sure that your own countrymen stay in a job without paying all this fucking money to them. It really is a user-pay system, because the people who are paying the money, the extra money, are the ones who are buying the products. And keeping the money inside your own country isn't a terribly stupid idea. When you look at the rate that all this money's pouring out to China, you know, fucking like, you know, we're running ourselves into the ground by buying all this shit from there. And I can understand it. You know, it's so cheap, why wouldn't you? But the thing is, you finish your own country off. And the only real way to stop this is tariffs. I know America is good at rattling on about free trade, but holy fucking cow, I've been reading about how the farming system works with the subsidies and everything like that, and it's just, it's fucking stupid. You know, how they spend all this money on certain things and do what's essentially price collusion to keep prices up on things, and then, you know, put heaps of money in the food stamp system, but then also give extra money to farmers, and they're paid not to farm, and these, you know, acreage quotas and these volume quotas and all this, oh, fucking hell. I'll tell you a nice little secret. over here, we aren't subsidised with farming. That's right, we aren't subsidised. Now, they do have a diesel tax rebate, which they're closing off for as many people as they can, and all that was, they call it diesel rebate, but I believe it's basically where you get some of your fuel tax money back from all the diesel you bought, but not all of your fuel tax money. It used to be all, and then they cut it back and cut it back and cut it back, and now you don't get jack shit worth of your fuel tax money back. Our fuel tax is something like about 63 or 64%, and then you slap a 10% GST on top of that. Yeah. The other one was the drought relief packages. You all think it sounds great and groovy? I'll tell you how it works. They pay your electricity bill so you have more money in your pocket to pay your mortgage. That's your drought relief here. That's the only fucking legislation where they're handing you money. Other than maybe getting a little bit of fuel tax money back, which most people don't actually have access to that diesel rebate stuff anymore, and it's been cut right out so that you don't get all your fuel tax money back, you just get a little bit of it back now. That's the only damn subsidised things we have, relief things we have, blah, blah, blah. That's about it. In other words, on the world market, we are shockingly competitive. And this is what it's going to come to, is one or two things. Countries either whack tariffs on, or it just, you got to have productivity. And if China outruns you, then stiff shit. And that means that a lot of these places, a lot of these guys who can see all this stuff, we've got to have a new system. The entire world agrees that. But there's no guarantee that this new system will work the first time around, just as the bailouts were going to save America and they fucking didn't. It may take a couple of goes and quite a few more bad years before things go good, but when they do finally go good, it'll only be for people who are productive and areas are productive. This is why a lot of the guys who talk about economic collapse believe that Texas will be right, because there's so much damn coal, oil, beef coming out of this place compared to New York, where all they do is fuck around with financial instruments and have a lot of headquarters of different places, and the common belief is that New York's going to really hit it hard. And when the crunch finally comes and this productivity stuff has to happen, New York might end up looking like fucking Detroit after 20 years. Not first day round, but after 20 years, where the guys who are the big corporate dudes in corporations that are productive are fine, and all these other corporations that are just living on derivatives and crony capitalism and subsidies are just fucking nosedive, you know. And there's areas in New York already that are sort of empty-ish, or were at least in the late 80s, early 90s. Some of the shitto areas of the Bronx and whatever. But anyway, this is what I'm getting so obsessive about, so that if money does turn shit and doesn't look so good, I think we'll be fine. We come out of the Depression fucking roaring. We were pretty much out of a depression by 1935 because of our productivity levels. But with all this productivity stuff, there's got to be demand for these products. Right now there's no demand for products because people are shitting bricks. They all know the system's going down, you know, and look at the price of oil, and it shows it. You think oil price is bad? I'll tell you about scrap metal, right? Back in, let's say 2007, 2005, around, I think it was 2007. The good years anyway, pre-GFC, $700 a tonne for light pressings. I went in there the other day and dropped off stuff. It's between $6 and $8 a tonne. So theoretically, it's probably around the $7 a tonne. And it was $700 a tonne. Scrap metal is worth 1% of its fucking pre-GFC value. 1%! Just be happy that oil is only worth of less than a quarter of what it was worth. Maybe only 1/5 of what it was worth. Because scrap metal is only worth 1% of what it was worth. You know, it's just I went in there yesterday and dropped some more off. I didn't have much, probably only 220 pounds, about 100 kilos worth. I didn't even bother going to the window to pick my money up. I just blasted the horn and just kept driving. What was it going to get, 50 cents? Probably. It's not even worth pissing around with the weighbridge and wasting their time at the register, but just keep your 50 cents. You know, it's... Anyway, I reckon we're going to get thumped sometime during this year, and I'm fucked if I'm going down black or blue, and that is why I'm where I am, and that is why I'm hanging on to silver and gold until I absolutely need to use it. I'm not just going to convert it all into the new currency if the new currency ends up being a dud. And, you know, I'm in a good position with not many overheads, with heaps of meat. Hell, you know, I'm going to be feeding these cats for quite a while just out of meat that's literally grown on this place with no financial input, aside from fixing the fences up the other year, to said meat. It's actually organic. We don't even need to use drench because any of the tapeworms and their eggs that are in the shit of the sheep that then get in the ground, they were all gone years ago, and we haven't needed to use drench because we don't have worms on this property anymore. And anyway, I just thought I'd tell you how much of a kook I am to think that maybe things are shaking that hard that I bet you they're behind the scenes planning a new system now, and there's no guarantee the new system will be perfect. But I'm buggered if I'm going to go down one way or the other.